Hey everyone, it's Tori and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, I thought it would be fun to go into my 8 bullet journals that I've completed so far and take a look at all of the yearly spreads that I have in each of these journals, just for some yearly bullet journal inspiration as we are coming up on bullet journal migration season. As I said, I've been bullet journaling in 8 journals now. It's almost been a full 5 years of my bullet journal journey, and there have been some yearly spreads that I've loved and carried throughout all of my journals, and some other ones that I've only done once, completely didn't use it, or used it and wasn't loving it and then didn't create it again in my next journal. So let's go through all of these journals together and get some inspiration for yearly spreads in 2024. So this was my first ever bullet journal. It is a Scribbles That Matter journal, and it's been used and abused. I started this in 2019. I'm pretty sure I actually started this in April. So let's go through all of the yearly spreads. I love the index card right here. Oh my goodness. It's completely 2 different colors. This is like a bright white and this is an off-white. I love the 2 different colors. It's amazing. And yes, I did start it on April 3rd, 2019. So it looks like we've got an index. This was already created inside of the journal, so I think that's the only reason I used it. And apparently I got a lot of use out of this index, which is kind of cool because I don't go out of my way to make an index in my own bullet journal. But I think it's really interesting that in this bullet journal, I got a lot of use out of it. May your heart soar and your dreams, maybe? Thoughts take flight, reaching far beyond the highest height. And this just says, hello 2019. I actually love these little paper airplanes. That's a really cute doodle idea for like your yearly spreads, because it's like showing you're moving to a different journal, showing you're traveling, moving on, all that kind of stuff. So I really love those doodles. We've got a year at a glance over here, which is always great. And your year at a glance is literally just the calendars of each month of the year all on one page. We've also got my 2019 plans, which is like my goals. And I remember writing plans because I was like, I want this to actually be like a to-do list, not just my goals. My word of the year was self-care. I still do words of the year, and I also do personal and career and my goals still to this day in 2023. But we've also got travel, YouTube, and fitness. Aw, 1,000 subs. And we're almost at 10,000, which is unbelievable. Places I've traveled. I think I planned on either putting a picture in here or to draw a picture, and it just never happened. I do really, really love the look of this, and I love this idea. I totally forgot I did it though. Movies and shows, I've got these little movie tickets, and I was just writing shows and movies I was watching at the time. Or maybe since these were highlighted, those were the movies I actually did watch, or the shows I actually did watch. And the ones that are not highlighted, I'm assuming those are movies that I planned to watch and didn't end up watching. I know I did watch a lot of these shows in 2019, but maybe I just didn't finish them, so I didn't highlight them. But I love a good media collection spread. I'm still using that to this day. Oh my goodness, I forgot I did this. This was my period tracker, and I called it Shark Week because I saw this cute little shark on Pinterest, and I was like, I want to do that in my bullet journal, and it came out so cute. Now I just implement my periods and symptoms into my health blog, but this is adorable, and I forgot I did this. Birthdays are also a great thing to have in your bullet journal. I actually keep this in like my junk drawer bullet journal, if you will, just because a spread like this, I know too many people and I have to track too many birthdays, so this is too small for me. But I do still track birthdays, so this is very, very useful to have in a bullet journal. I love going through this because I forgot that I did my monthly reviews this way in the beginning. So now I incorporate my monthly reviews into my monthly plan with me's. So I make a whole 2-page spread for just 1 month now, but I think this is a great way to start if that intimidates you. I have April, May, June, July, August, September. I'm pretty sure I carried this over. Yes, I carried this over onto the next page. But this is just a quick way to add like your best memories, what you learned from the month. And in April, I discovered bullet journaling. Oh, the nostalgia of looking at all of these. So again, I did carry that on into the next page, but it looks like I didn't keep up with it when I went from August through December. I think it's because I went back to school and I just couldn't keep up with my bullet journal as much as I thought I could. We also have a bujo themes idea, which I would highly recommend. I actually keep this in my phone now because I just think of a bullet journal theme like when I'm out and about. So I just have this in my iPhone's notes now, but I really, really liked that I had the whole list. And then I highlighted it every single time I ended up using the theme. Really, really good idea. Oh, and then we're getting into April. I'm not going to flip through all of my monthly spreads in these journals. I'm planning on doing that in another video. So that is all of the yearly spreads for my very first bullet journal in 2019. I love taking this trip down memory lane. This is my second bullet journal that I've ever used. It is from January through July 2020. And this journal is actually from Walmart, believe it or not. I loved the Walmart journals when I first started bullet journaling, and I'm still using them now, honestly. It's the one I used for my gnome bullet journal. If you remember that, it's just in a bigger size, but don't sleep on Walmart journals. They're pretty good. And this tea, I remember I got from like Michael's or Joann's or something. The rhinestones started falling off, but I really liked that touch when I added it. Let's hop into what I used for yearly spreads in 2020. So I actually got use out of my bujo key this time around, which is really cool because I actually started using weekly spreads in this journal. In my 2019 journal, I did not have a weekly spreads at all because I was still using a planner at the time. So that's cool that I actually got use out of this bullet journal key. And if you're starting bullet journaling, this key or whatever key you want to use in your bullet journal is very important to put into your yearly spreads because you don't want to forget what all the symbols mean in your bullet journal method. Again, I was using that index that was already implemented into this journal. And I'm wondering if I actually used it all the way through. I can't believe I was keeping up with this index so nicely. Over here, oh, I'm gonna have to blur that out. I created my own name page in this journal, so I have my name and I also have my phone number and my email address. And then we've got another quote page. It says, I have the perfect vision for 2020. And if you all remember 2020, our visions were not correct, whatever we thought it was. Moving on to a future log, and I actually made a note for myself right here. Future log moved to pages 39 through 42 for February 2020 to January 2021. Can I peek at that really quick? Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did add a tab for my future log. And this is a future log style I've used even into this year. It's great because you have the mini calendar at the top, so you can have a visual of where all the days are in the calendar. And you also have a number strip going 1 through 31 or 30, or in this case, 29, all the way down. So you have a place to write if there is an event on every single day during the month. And I also use little color codes. It looks like the red was apparently my rent was due, and my yellow I'm pretty sure is my credit card. Yes. So that's really cool that I started this future log in 2020 and I've pretty much been using the exact same style all the way through 2023. We've got a grid spacing guide right here, which again, if you're not really familiar with your journal size, this is great to have when you are making spreads because it helps show you where like the halves are of the page and where the thirds are. The numbers down the side and across the top are also really helpful when you're learning about all of the dot grid spaces. Also, we've got 2020 and I wrote plans instead of goals again because I really liked the play on it. Like if you make it a plan, then you're going to do it and it's not just a goal. My word of the year this year was patience, which was tested many, many times in 2020, as I'm sure everybody's patience was tested in 2020. We've got personal, school, health, travel, and this time in 2021, I totally forgot I had a section like this. So this is just like looking further into the future where you see yourself in a year, which is very interesting, but also a little bit stressful. So I don't know if I would bring this back. Even in 2023, this is basically what my goals spread still looks like. It's all laid out the exact same way. I just have my word of the year across the whole top, and then 4 sections for different types of goals at the bottom. It's funny how some things change and some things just never do. We've got another period tracker, a lot less cuter than the shark, if I do say so myself, but still same idea. I'm just putting a dot on where I got my period, on which day of the month. And then we've got my themes doodles for 2020, which again, I still do this. I love seeing all the themes put together in one spread. We've got our collections over here. So I had a space to write the audiobooks I wanted to read, TV shows I wanted to watch, music and songs that were recommended to me that I wanted to listen to, and also movies. And then it looks like I just dotted them in gold every single time I read them, watched them, or listened to them. Collections pages like this are also very, very helpful because if you're like me and you watch a lot of TV shows or you read a lot of books or watch a lot of movies, it's a great way to track it so you can see everything you watched or read in a year. This is the first time I ever made a vision board, and I love how this turned out. I continue to do vision boards every single year in my bullet journal, and they all look pretty similar in the way that I always print out pictures of all the goals I want to achieve in a year, and I paste them all down in this collage style format. I still love this right here, healing is not linear. I was struggling a lot with anxiety this year, so I wanted to stick that in. I also turned 22. I graduated in 2020. I just love seeing vision boards in my bullet journal. Things to be happy about. Nothing. I love the idea of this because it can be like a memory spread and you can paste pictures down of things that made you happy throughout the year, or even just something to go into the year if you're super stressed out about all the goals you want to achieve. You can just paste or write things down that you are happy about, and you can constantly refer back to this if you're feeling really negative about yourself or other things. Love the idea of this page. The execution was not great. And I think that is it for all of the yearly spreads. Yep, we're getting into the monthly spreads over here. I'm only sharing yearly spreads throughout this video. If you want me to do a flip through of every single bullet journal I've ever done in a video, just let me know. So that is it for the first half of 2020. Now we are getting into the second half of 2020 in this journal right here. All right, let's check out the yearly spreads in this journal. And I think this is hilarious right here. It said, as a reward, I wrote love and hugs. When you're a poor college student, that's all you can give. I have my key over here with a bunch of washi tape. I didn't even know I started experimenting with washi tape and stickers in 2020. I thought that was like a 2021 thing. So in 2019, I fit every single thing I needed to just in one journal. And this was the first time I needed to migrate. So these are all the yearly migration spreads of 2020. So over here is my quote page, which I tend to have a lot in my journals. But I remember getting this idea off of, I think it was Art and Foxes on YouTube and Instagram. It said, reset, do you want to start over? Yes. 2020 did not start out amazing, so I'm sure a lot of us wanted to reset 2020. This was another thing that I carried on throughout the years, and it is just a goal check-in spread. So the top is all the things I've accomplished so far in the year, and the bottom is the things that I need to do before the year ends, or like my general to-do list before the year ends. And I still really love doing this because it keeps me accountable for all of the goals that I want to finish in the year, but I also get to see all of the amazing things that I got to do already during the year. I would highly recommend a spread like this, especially for migration season. Moving on, we've got my future log, which is again set up in the same way as my last bullet journal. We've got that grid spacing guide again, and also my themes doodle page. In my first 2020 bullet journal, I only got to July in that journal, so I wanted to make the whole page again so I can finish out all of the doodles for each theme in 2020, which is still something I like to do because I love to see it all filled in. We've got the same period tracker as last time. I just carried over all the information from January to July from my other bullet journal and added in everything else I needed to finish out the year. Always carry over that information, especially health information. If you have it in one bullet journal, I would highly recommend transferring it to your current bullet journal so you don't have to keep flipping back and forth. My cleaning tracker over here, great idea in theory. I did not fill it out at all. But I think it's really cool that I had that section for last replaced and last cleaned. The execution was just not lovely, but I do think this is a great idea for a cleaning tracker, so maybe I will have to bring this back at some point. This was my first book log or reading tracker of my bullet journaling history. And again, I still make trackers like this. We've got all the books on the shelf, and every single time I finish a book, I will color it in and write the title so I can see which books I read throughout the year. And then my movies and TV tracker over here. I think the film reel border is really cool. And it's just a simple list style format tracker. Gotta love those. This was also the first time I used my planning pages. These are a great idea to plan out your themes for the month, to get like a color palette set, to figure out the font you want, all the spreads, all the doodles you want. I love using planning pages in my bullet journal, and I would also highly recommend them if you do themes in your bullet journal. We've got more bullet journal theme ideas, and again, I just highlighted the ones that I ended up doing, and I'm pretty sure that is it for all of the yearly spreads throughout the rest of 2020. We are now hopping into the year of 2021 in my very first bullet journal. This is also my very first Archer and Olive bullet journal. So let's see what we've got in here. It's funny because looking back on this was actually the very first video I posted of my bullet journal on YouTube, and it did very, very, very well. So I love the nostalgia of looking at all of these spreads. We've got my key over here, and I do really think this is a great place to keep a key, especially like even if it's in the first couple pages of your bullet journal, because if it's something you're referencing a lot, especially in the beginning of your bullet journal journey, you're going to need to look at it a lot. So having it just right on the back of your cover is perfect place for it. I've also written my name, my Instagram, and the duration of this journal as well. We've got my title page, and this was when I combined my title page and my theme doodles page to kind of make it more functional. I do love a good quote page, but the functionality of the bullet journal is the entire reason why I do it. So getting to combine those pages was actually a really smart move. And also, I knew I was only going to spend 6 months in a journal. From the year before, I only ended up using 2 journals. I kind of took that knowledge and was like, okay, I'm only going to put 6 different circles in here for the 6 different theme doodles that I know I'm going to use in this journal. So we're starting to evolve our bullet journal practice, if you will. Got that future log, same format as before. It's honestly one of the best ones. Got our grid spacing guide, and I really like how I ended up doing these little lines closer to the left edge and the top of the page. And then this is basically how I've set up my goals ever since 2021. I love how this turned out. I love the stickers. I love the fonts that I chose to use. And my word of the year was trust. We've got personal, work and school, health, and this time in 2022. Now I can see why I didn't carry it over into another journal because I didn't fill it out this time. This self-care list was a really, really beautiful spread and a great idea in theory. I didn't really reference this, I remember. I probably should have because self-care is very important. This was basically just a place to write down self-care ideas that had to do with mind, body, heart, create, and anxiety relief. But if you're looking for like a self-care style format, I would highly recommend doing either a list style or even like a self-care bingo I've done in the past. Those are 2 great yearly spread self-care ideas. We've got our health tracker over here. This is when I was still tracking my health in my yearly setup, and I've got my whole key right here. We've got colors and symbols for head pain, stomach pain, and even tracking my period. So this was another one of those spreads where I again just kind of condensed 2 trackers into one. I was tracking my period separately in my yearly spreads, and then my health I was tracking throughout my monthly spreads. So this was just kind of a good condensed version of that. We've got a bookshelf over here, and I was just coloring in how many books I was reading. I didn't write the titles on here. I saved the titles for over here where I was reviewing the book and also writing the author. I think this is a great idea if you want your books to look more like aesthetically pleasing and less messy, because it can get a little bit messy if you're writing the titles all over the spines. I've also got a little space for my TBR down here. And again, just rating all my books over on the right side. We've got the movies that I wanted to watch, and I just checked them off as I was watching them. Shows I wanted to watch, and I did a box for every single season, which is similar to what I do now. And we've also got our theme ideas. I'm wondering when I stopped doing the theme ideas and started doing them in my phone, because so far it's been 3 years that I've had a theme ideas list. I can't remember when I stopped it, but still super cute. My vision board of 2021, I think, no, 2023 is my favorite vision board, but this is a close second. I just love how I added all these like little flower stickers, and I was dreaming about having my own classroom in the beginning of 2021, and I did end up getting my own kindergarten classroom this year. I graduated from my master's program. I turned 23, all good things in 2021. Oh, oh, yeah, I need a spread like this in my new bullet journal for 2024. I'm not gonna lie, I've been running out of ideas to do on YouTube because I pretty much just do like playing with me's, resets, and whatever else I can think of. I totally forgot I had a spread like this in my bullet journal. So now I'm thinking I definitely need to add this for 2024. Any like master to-do list style format is great, especially if you are putting a title at the top that's not like brain dump or to-do list, because then I really don't end up using it. If it has a specific title for a specific use, then I do use it. But a huge master to-do list like this, very, very smart to have in your bullet journal. We've got all of our planning pages for planning out each theme for each month in this journal. And then we're getting into the monthly spreads. So we are going to move on to journal number 2 of 2021. Our pile over here is starting to dwindle down, but we are at the second journal of 2021. I think if I remember correctly, these are my favorite yearly spreads that I have ever done in journals. I just think, yes, I love the look of this. I really went all out decorating this name page, and I even put my profile picture at the time, which I think is a really, really great idea, especially if you're a content creator, because then you can see like, oh yeah, that was my profile picture in 2021. We've got my year at a glance over here. Again, anything that you want to constantly be looking at is really smart to have on the back of your cover. I knew I'd be looking at my year at a glance a lot in this journal, so that's why I put it right over here. And I do have it from July 2021 to June 2022. We've got my name over here, and this is my whole theme doodle page for 2021. We've got our grid spacing guide over here. I don't think it's changed at all since the first journal of 2021, just the colors. We've got my goals check-in, everything I accomplished in the year so far, and also things I still need to do by the end of the year. This is when I started bringing in the when did I last spread. My memory is atrocious, so if your memory is also atrocious, this is a perfect spread for you. We have categories like car, change, appointments, and miscellaneous. So I can write when I changed oil in my car, when I did my emissions, and when I last cleaned my car. It's funny, I didn't really write any dates in my car section because my dad was pretty much taking care of my car the entire time. So I really didn't need to track it because he was tracking my car. For the change section, I have when did I last change my toothbrush, razor, and sheets. We've got appointments, which I have my hair, my eyebrows, my dentist, my dermatologist appointment, my eye exam, my last physical and GYN appointments, and then in miscellaneous, I have photo dump and vacuum. It looks like I didn't fully keep up with this spread, but I do highly recommend having a when did I last or adulting kind of spread. We've got my health tracker over here. Again, hasn't really changed besides the colors since my last bullet journal. I started writing the titles again into my books. I have the TBR and the review spread over here. We've got my theme ideas, the movies I want to watch, check them off as I watch them. Same with TV shows. Over here, I had a YouTube and Instagram milestone tracker. I think I went too above and beyond. I think if you're going to do a milestone tracker like this, whether it's for like social medias or like a workout goal that you're trying to achieve, make the number increments smaller so you can color in more as it goes on. That's definitely a tip that I have for yearly challenge milestone kind of trackers in the beginning of your bullet journal. I also had space for YouTube ideas and Instagram ideas down here, which is very smart. Got all my yearly pages for planning out all the themes for the rest of 2021. And that is it for all of the yearly spreads in my bullet journal that I migrated into during 2021. I only had one bullet journal for 2022, and I fit the entire year in here because I did not do your typical like monthly calendar and weekly spreads. I had a separate planner for that. So this is basically just a whole trackers journal. So let me show you what yearly spreads I needed as this different style bullet journal method that I was doing in 2022. I did not need a future log since I had that in my planner, but I still did want to have a year at a glance for when I was setting up my monthly sections of my bullet journal, if you will. I also had this page flip out to a grid spacing guide over here. From 4 years of bullet journaling prior to this, I've found that the grid spacing guide is a lot easier if you can see it the whole time that you're trying to set up a spread. So if I was like setting up my May spread, for example, and I knew I wanted the gnome's nose to be right in the middle, I could see going all the way this way that the middle of the page was on this line. It didn't really help the vertical way, but horizontally, this was an amazing, amazing, amazing yearly spread idea. So this is the grid spacing guide that I would highly recommend if you are still using grid spacing in your bullet journal. Make it a little flip out. It works wonders. I'm gonna flip that back in really quick. We've got our name page over here. This was my year of all my gnomes. We've got my 2022 gnome over here. This was kind of like my cover page, if you will. For all of my yearly spreads, we've got my 2022 goals. We've got my 2022 themes. I still have not printed out my gnomes for the second half of 2022. I still need to make them on my iPad. We've got my when did I last tracker. I kind of set it up a little bit different than in 2021. We've got my appointments, a section for my car, and a section for miscellaneous. I think this worked a little bit better for me. I feel like I filled this out a little bit more consistently than my last one. And then we've got my health tracker that is actually from January through December. We've got a full year of health tracker on here because there is a full year in this journal, not just 6 months as I was typically doing. We've got a bookshelf that is significantly longer because, again, this journal is a 12-month journal. And this is actually when I started coloring in the books based on my star rating. So I didn't have that extra review section over on the right side. I was just coloring it in based on how much I liked the book on the bookshelf itself. We've got a very extensive TBR that I didn't end up needing to be that big. But if you do read a lot, I think it's great to have a whole dedicated TBR spread. We've got some collections over here, movies I wanted to watch, checked them off as I watched them, same with shows. And on the flip side, I had my Instagram and YouTube trackers over here. And typically what I do to track my social medias is I write how many followers or subscribers I have on the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. I think there was one point where I was tracking the 1st, the middle, and the last of the month. I know I did it in here for a fact. Yes. So I was actually doing it as like a monthly tracker thing. So I would track my followers the 1st, the 15th, and the last of the month. But the last of the month and the 1st of the next month is pretty much the same thing. It's just a 24-hour difference. So the way I started tracking it is the 1st and the middle, and that's been pretty consistent ever since. Got all of our planning pages, which again, if you do themes in your bullet journal, I would highly recommend doing this so you can plan out what you want all of your themes to look like. Plus, it's just so aesthetically pleasing as well as functional, which is the reason I bullet journal. And we do have 12 whole pages of these because again, 2022 was a full year in just one journal. I'm not a huge fan of how this vision board came out, mainly because my printer sucks. So all the colors weren't really exactly what they needed to be. I was missing some sort of color. It must have been like yellow or blue or something. But I digress. We've got a couple quotes. I ended up just drawing some things too because of how awful my printer was. I turned 24 this year. I wanted to focus more on YouTube. And I even stuck a little pocket in here to add an extra little bucket list, which I thought was a really, really cool touch. So if you want a vision board, but you're not like super into collaging in your bullet journal, this little pocket bucket list is a great way to go. These are starting the monthly spreads. So those are all of the yearly spreads in 2022. Let's hop into the last yearly spreads of this year, 2023. So this is the second to last journal that I am sharing. It's the journal I used at the beginning of this year. So after 4 years of bullet journaling, let's see what my yearly spreads are starting to look like. So I've just got my name page over here since this was like an art print style that was actually in the journal to begin with. I didn't really want to take away from it, so I couldn't add any functional room over here. I just wrote this journal belongs to Tori on the right side. This is where I ended up putting my grid spacing guide and my key over here. We did the flip out in 2022. This is also a great option for an extremely functional grid spacing guide, is to make a little bookmark, kind of like this. And in 2023, I started making weekly spreads again. So I wanted to write just a couple notes on all of the weekly spread layouts I wanted to do and how many dot grid spaces were in each box. And then on the other side, we've got the horizontal layout, if you will. So whether it's a flip out or like a little bookmark that you have, there's a lot of great ways to make some grid spacing guides. I had to add in the gnome for 2023 in my cover page as well. Our future log really doesn't look any different. I've still got the mini calendars on the top and the numbers down the side. This was how I decided to do my theme doodles for the first half of the year, and I just kept it all on one page. Here are my goals. And instead of other, I chose to put bujo because that's what a lot of my other goals ended up being anyways. So we've got a little bit of a subheading change in 2023. This is when I started titling my When Did I Last Spread Adulting, but we've still got a section for appointments, a section for car care. Health log really doesn't look that different. We've just got a 6-month style over here. This is how I started tracking my social medias. I ended up getting a TikTok, so I wasn't just tracking Instagram and YouTube anymore. And then for my books tracker, we are writing in the titles again on the spines and have a tinier TBR down here because I realized I didn't need a huge TBR like I had in my last journal. And I've also carried over from 2022 the colors for the ratings of each book. We've got our collection spread, so movies I wanted to watch, shows, YouTube, and I added podcasts as well. These are some master to-do lists. Again, amazing idea in theory. I just didn't use them at all because I ended up putting a lot of my master larger to-do lists into the monthly sections of my bullet journal. But these are great for just like a whole brain dump right at the beginning of the year. Like, here's everything I need to get done for school. Here's everything I need to get done in my bullet journal. I think that is the best way to go for the yearly spread master to-do lists because otherwise, personally, I just forget they're here. But again, great idea in theory. It just didn't work for me. Yes, I think this is my favorite vision board I've ever done. I added in a lot more like words. I have like support, grow was my word of the year, independence, proficient. I added in a couple like little notes around here and there in addition to all the pictures in the collage. I love how this all turned out. And I will be doing another vision board in my 2024 bullet journal, so stay tuned. After my vision board, I assume is all my planning pages just for the first 6 months of the year, as I only spent 6 months in this journal. Do we have anything back here? Nope, we're getting into the monthly spreads. So this was the first journal of 2023. And now we are hopping into my current bullet journal that I am in for the second half of 2023. So here are all of the spreads that I thought were currently working for me for 2023. We've got our name page. Again, I really liked that idea of 2021 when I put my profile picture on the first page. So I did that again in 2023. We've got my little key over here, and I know I am missing a few. I just couldn't fit it onto this page because of this little paper that I already ripped up. But truly, after doing bullet journaling for so long, I don't really even look at the key anymore, so I don't really need it. I just think it looks pretty. So we'll see if this ends up carrying over into 2024. We've got my little title page over here, which I got inspiration from Instagram, I'm pretty sure. This is when I tried to switch up my future log a little bit. So we've got August through December. We've still got the mini calendars. I just had an issue when I wrote like 1 through 31. I could only really write one event on each of the lines. So like if there was a birthday, but also like I was going to like the farmer's market or whatever on the same day, I couldn't really have room to add both of them in my prior future log. So over here I have events and I wrote down at the bottom birthdays. I really love the birthday section. I think that's super, super helpful. I do, however, miss the 1 through 31 and how everything just kind of was in the proper order, because if I end up having another event, like if in December I end up going to like a party on the 1st, it's not going to be in chronological order, and I think that's going to drive my brain a tiny bit nuts. So I do kind of miss my old future log, but I love aspects of this new future log. So I'm wondering if I can somehow combine it for 2024. I also love that I have this section for future dates just in case I have something going on in the next year that I've planned well in advance for. So we will have to see what my future log looks like in 2024. We've got adulting over here, my appointments, my car, also that little goals check-in that I do every single migration season if I'm moving from one bullet journal to the next in the same year, what I've accomplished so far and what I still need to do. Our theme doodles have continued to make a comeback again and again, and I'm going to finish this entire page at the end of this year so it will look more filled in. We've got my social media tracker over here, which is very similar to the journal prior to this one. We've got my follower counts for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. This book tracker sticker is from Pretty Little Studios. I loved that I could just stick the sticker down and I didn't have to draw books this time because sometimes it can get a little tedious to make a bookshelf tracker. I do love how this looks and I am still coloring in the books based on what my rating is. I just don't have a lot of room to write the titles. So this is another tracker I have to figure out what to do and what I want my priorities to be for next year. We've got our media collections, movies I want to watch, shows, YouTube, and podcasts. Again, I really wanted these master to-do lists to work right in the beginning of my yearly spreads. I just don't end up using them because I forget they're here. This is just me, but if I need a huge to-do list, I end up adding it into my monthly spreads. So I'm not sure this list style works for me. I know it works for my mom. She has a bunch of these list style formats in her journal, so maybe it'll work for you, but just personally, I tend to forget they're here. So I don't think any master to-do lists like this are going to make it into my 2024 bullet journal. Moving on, I have chopped the planning pages in half. I kind of wanted to see what it would be like to save some page space and have 2 months of planning on one page. I really like the style of this. I don't have a lot of room to make like my theme doodles, but I was kind of falling off of that anyway in my last bullet journal. So I think the half style planning pages are really working for me, and these might make an appearance next year as well. Yep, there's no other yearly spreads. That's getting into my monthlies. But that completes all of my yearly spread ideas, what's been working for me, what hasn't been working for me, and what might work for you in 2024. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Also, don't forget to check out my bullet journal social medias. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!